Hello and welcome back to the Bored Whovian YouTube channel, and today is day 5 of the 14 days of Doctor Who. So yeah, we are just over a third of the way in. I mean, there isn't really a third of 14 in a whole number, but yeah, we're definitely at that point. So yeah, you should be getting this on the 15th of December if I've done things correctly. I'm clearly not recording on that. It's actually the 9th at the moment. Actually, no, well, technically it's the night of the 8th, but it is 2 a.m. So, yeah. Anyway, today you will be getting the review of The Next Doctor, which I've just finished. So, hopefully, you enjoy what I have to say about it. But anyway, let's get on with the review. So, at the start of the story, you have like a really nice Christmassy setting as you just start off with the TARDIS landing in Victorian London. I think it's 1851. I think is the year that it's set in, but you know it's really Christmassy with the music and the setting and seeing everyone enjoying it, like carol singers and everything, the snow, and then you just hear someone yell out "Doctor," and I do like how that pulls the Doctor into the story, as originally the way the Doctor ends up in this story, it was intended to be that Cybermen show up in the TARDIS at the end of Journey's End, which really doesn't work when you consider the ending to Journey's End. And yeah, I'm really glad Russell didn't go for that, and instead let Journey's End end the way it did. Journey's End the way it did. That's a bit of a dodgy sentence to say, but yeah, and just starting this off fresh as just a new episode, not letting it just be continual. And so you have Rosita, the next Doctor's companion, yell out "Doctor," and then he bumps into the next Doctor, which is played by David Morrissey. And I must say, David Morrissey is fantastic in this episode. And I really do. I'm a real sucker for historical stories when they jump into history. This one doesn't really delve too much into it, but it's a Victorian setting, and I do like it. But yeah, just there's a bunch of lines I like here. Like Rosita saying, "Well, there can't be two of you." I'm just there. Tennant's there, just completely bemused by everything after David Morrissey's Doctor walks in. Jackson Lake walks in, and just keeps rattling things off like, "This is a job for a Time Lord. Pass me a sonic screwdriver. Get back to the TARDIS." And he's still like, "What?" And he's just completely confused. As he's understanding it and just really in shock, like, "Oh my God, is that another Doctor? Is that another Doctor?" And you can see it in his head. And when they both say Alan Z at the same time, and that it's a brilliant cut to the titles. It's a fantastic cut to the titles. As they reveal the Cyber Shade, which is new for the story and hasn't been used since. And I can't understand why. As a Cyberman of the Cybermen, this is just very much one-off idea. I mean, maybe they were trying to do something new, like a kind of new Who version of the Cybermats, but like bigger, and it just didn't really work. They're supposed to be like converted animals. They're fine. They have their function, but I don't know if they're that amazing. They're fine. Doctor Who is a show of change, and sometimes you just got to try things, and I don't know. I don't think they don't work. I just feel like they're not something you'd bring back. They work well in their story, and they're fine. But yeah, that's all. But obviously, the Doctors. It's easier to just refer to them as Doctors because at this point in the story, that's what they're perceived to be. Are chasing the Cyber Shade up the side of a building by holding onto a rope, it's yanking them up. And I love when they get cut and they fall on their asses inside this building. They just start laughing at each other as a way of kind of like enjoying a moment together. And it's just a fun moment between the two of them. And then obviously you get Tennant kind of talking to this Doctor who he assumes remembers him, and just goes, "Oh, how'd it happen? Oh, I hope I didn't just trip over a brick." And it's just a nice thing, because it's like, it's not the kind of thing you get from Doctors talking to other Doctors. Just like, "So how did I regenerate?" It's something which you're surprised doesn't really come up that much. But yeah, Morrissey is fantastic in these scenes. In these scenes, we're still supposed to see him as potentially the future Doctor. When this was aired, we didn't know who the next Doctor was. So, this was very much a kind of prank title, this whole story. But yeah, in this scene you get little references, like when he says, "You don't blink," and then the Tenth Doctor just goes, "Oh, don't blink, don't blink. Do you remember that? Do you remember Sally statues?" And he's like, and I remember watching that as a kid going, "Oh, blink." Like, because I loved Blink as a kid and I still love it now. But yeah, he's just trying to make him remember, and he clearly can't. And at this point in the story, 10 is still very much convinced this is the Doctor, and he just has some memory issues. But yeah, then they go to, there's a funeral on, so they go to the man whose funeral it is. They go to his home because is somehow involved, or they think the Cybermen killed him. So there might be something they can find out in his house. And I love that Tennant's already broken in, and then the other Doctor bumps in and finds him there. He's just sonicking everything, and every time he's sonicking something, goes, what the hell's that? He goes, oh, I'm whistling. And I must say, the little whistling noise that he makes is so accurate to the sonic, the little high pitch. It's fantastic. It's really good from David Tennant, and I'm very much impressed. But just before that, we've got the little gag, because he goes, well, how'd I get in? Sure, you got a sonic screwdriver on you, and he just shows a screwdriver, the other Doctor. He goes, how's it sonic? He goes, well, that's sonic, isn't it? It makes noise. And I really do like that little scene, because that's the first little hint we've got of going, oh, this isn't really the Doctor, is it? But yeah, while they're looking around, they find info stamps, which kind of are just like mini projectors with lots of information on them, which can be downloaded into the Cybermen, which are important to this plot completely. And yeah, while they're looking around, the 10th Doctor finds the Cybermen in there, and they chase them up the stairs. And I do like this scene, as he's instantly like in full Doctor mode, like no, okay, now I can't pretend anymore. Now I've got to be full on Doctor and defend this man who's clearly maybe not the Doctor. And he's got a sword and everything. It's like he's fighting the Cyberman with a sword, which should work. It's metal on metal. But yeah, eventually the other Doctor. I'm just going to say Jackson Lake. Eventually, Jackson Lake. At this point, it's hard referring to him, because at this point in the story, he isn't Jackson Lake. But having seen it, you know it is. But his performance isn't that of Jackson Lake, because he doesn't know his own personality. So it's hard to describe it. But the other Doctor used the info stamps and remembers that he can use them to destroy the Cybermen, which of course is very important to the plot, as it's just a way to defeat the Cybermen throughout the rest of the story. But you know, it's clear at this point he knows things, and he's remembering things, and he knows he's lost. He knows he lost something, and something was taken the night he regenerated, or when something happened, and he doesn't know what. And it's clear, you know it's not the Doctor at this point, probably. You know, we also see in these moments little cuts to Miss Hartigan, who's working with the Cybermen, and obviously going back to the actual funeral where this man's funeral is taking place. You've got all his like friends within working for charity, and Miss Hartigan appears in red, obviously as a sign of kind of disrespect to the man and all the men there. And it's a very menacing scene, the way she kind of attacks the kind of integrity of all these men. And, you know, then reveals that the Cybermen are coming, and they're going to destroy them. And she's very menacing, just the way she's so calm about the way she's talking, the way how relaxed she's. Well, they're the Cybermen. You know, it's just very, very assured, a very, you know, good villain to have. You know, it's having you know, these aliens. Well, they're not aliens really. These Cybermen, they aren't. They're from the parallel universe. But you know, having the Cybermen work with like just a normal human does actually quite well. I do really like this Cyberman design. I still do. It's a really cool design. The Cyber Leader improvement, you know, with the black helmet and the brain showing, I'm not too keen on it. Funny enough, that is the Cyberman helmet which I had as a kid. So I don't want to go too much, because that's the one I had where I could edit the voice and everything. But yeah. Just after this, we get to see the TARDIS, which, you know, the 10th Doctor is very excited to see. He really, really wants to see it. But yeah, when he finds it, you know, he calls it a tethered aerial release developed in style, which is really hilarious. It's just not the TARDIS. It's just after this that the Doctor realises that this other Doctor isn't really the Doctor, and in fact he is Jackson Lake. And it's really tragic, as Jackson Lake has been referred to in this story beforehand as a man who died a terrible death and the body was never found. And it's been, like, I don't know, a few months, I'm not too sure. It just feels tragic when the 10th Doctor discovers this, as he just looks at Jackson Lake and just goes, I think I know how you became the Doctor. Do you want to find out? And he explains it. The way he explains it is very respectful, because he just slowly reveals it to him, going, look, you and Jackson Lake both went there on the same night. You did exactly the same things. But after, you know, he explains the info stamp, he goes, but that's not enough to make you become the Doctor. you experienced. He calls it a fugue state, where like he's like gone through so much trauma the mind can't go back and it kind of runs away. And it's a very good explanation, I think. It's a very lovely explanation as to how he's kind of taken on this persona, as he's so terrified to be Jackson Lake when, as we discover, his wife was killed. And later on we find out that his son was taken. And he's also got all these info stamps. But the thing is, even though he's not really the Doctor, he still saves Rosita from the Cybermen. And, that's still, he's still a hero in this. He's taken on the role of the Doctor without the Doctor being present for some time, which is admirable. Shortly after this, all the info stamps, which have been collected by Jackson Lake over time, just kind of start signalling, showing the Cybermen are on the move, and all the children that they've been nicking are now on the move with them, as they are their workforce. So Rosita and the Doctor, not Jackson Lake, he kind of stays behind. The two of them go to where the Cybermen are leading, and I really like it because they bump into two Cybermen around a corner where they don't expect them to be, and Tennant has this little gag going, do you have your legs on silent? And it's a bit of a funny gag, because it is a little bit of a joke that, like, these Cybermen don't really run, they just walk, they just walk at this pace, stomping, and you can hear them from a mile away. And it just reminded me of, there's a Five Who fans video when they made the new Cyberman design for Series 7 for Nightmare in Silver, and they talked about the old ones, which are obviously in this story, and they go, well, with those ones, you will hear them and you'll have plenty of time to escape. Which kind of, when you think about it, yes. I look at the Cybermen from that era and I go, I probably could run away. It's one of those monsters where I'm fairly confident I could run away from these Cybermen. But yeah, moving on. The Doctor resets their memory banks and shows them that he is actually the Doctor. But then obviously his life is threatened. He's there with Miss Hartigan. And Jackson Lake pops up and saves the day, and that just shows he's taken on this role of a hero. That wasn't the Doctor. The info stamp, that was him, and it's just a really good character moment. And then obviously Rosita punches Miss Hartigan, very nice moment. She's a strong character. I mean, she doesn't get too much development because obviously this whole story, the first half, is all about these two characters. Is one the Doctor? Is he not? But she's a decent character when she's used. Then you have Miss Hartigan approached by the Cybermen, as the Cyber King's been mentioned this entire time as the Cyber King will rise, but Miss Hartigan never expected her to be the Cyber King and be upgraded to that, and eventually she is. And I found it spooky as a kid because her eyes turned fully black, which I did find a little bit creepy when I watched it as a kid. But this kind of backfires for the Cybermen because she has emotion. She's expressing joy out of all this power and ability, and the fact that her imagination is what's helping them, not the strict logical mind of a Cyberman. And then obviously she kills the Cyber leader, and is now completely in charge of the Cybermen. But it's quite a good moment because even in this story where there's not that many conversion, so to say, the conversation on emotion and imagination, which is very relevant to the core ideas of the Cybermen, is still brought up, and it annoys me a lot that the core ideas of the Cybermen aren't explored enough in the stories they're done. And it's just not enough. Even Earthshock, a very popular Cyberman story, does not cover conversion at all. Doesn't cover conversion at all, and it's a real shame. But yeah, moving on. Just after this, Jackson Lake realizes that he's lost his son as they are in the kind of factory, and they realize that one of the kids is up there. That's his son. And the 10 is really heroic there. It's a really big heroic moment for him, as he cuts the rope, and just flies on up there, and then swings away with the kid and brings him down to Jackson Lake. And he's a very heroic Doctor. I think I mentioned this in the last review, but that's kind of the way he's presented. The 10th Doctor. Just after this, we actually get the Cyber King walking through the streets of London after sending out of the Thames, and I've seen people say they don't like it. It's just, why is it a giant Cyberman? But I don't actually mind it. I don't mind it at all. As I don't know. I just don't mind it. It's a weird one. I understand people's criticisms of it, and yet I don't mind it myself. But yeah. The Doctor quickly goes back to the balloon TARDIS and uses it to get on up high and challenge, face to face with the Cyber-King, which is pretty good. And it's nice that the balloon TARDIS kind of gets used, like it's relevant to the plot rather than just being a one-off gag. But yeah, the Doctor kind of gives them an ultimatum and goes, look, I can send you away in peace, or, and she goes, oh, what do you make of me, an idiot? And he goes, no, what do you make of me? And that's a really terrific line, because you see the darkness of him as he doesn't want to make the decision, but it goes back to the Christmas invasion, no second chances. And instantly, he whips out an info stamp and blasts Miss Hartigan, the current Cyber-King, and, in that moment watching it, like, is he killing her? But it's very clear he isn't. And then she goes, well, what was the point of that? Your weapons are useless. He goes, no, I opened your mind. And she realises what she is. And, that destroys the Cybermen. All the Cybermen are dead. The whole, Cyber-King thing fails. But she, blows up like a balloon. Which is a bit odd. She, pops. They've already got that one. I don't understand why she can't just die. Why doesn't she just get executed as well? Doesn't her brain why doesn't she just give up and die, not blow up, which is a bit odd. But yeah, maybe, you're not allowed to put that much gory stuff when kids are watching, so yeah. I mean, I was a kid at the time watching, I'd have been 5 years old when this aired and I was still questioning it. But yeah, then the Doctor uses the Dimension Gun, which he picked up, which was part of the technology which was stolen from the Daleks, which enabled the Cybermen to escape the void. But yeah, so he completely cleans up the Cyber-King, which you could say is a bit of Deus Ex Machina. Suddenly the Cyber-King's completely gone, everything's safe, everything's cleaned up, but it's been set up. It's like Chekhov's gun. You've introduced all the things that have been used in the final bit of the story. So I'd argue it's absolutely fine. It's really, you get a really nice scene after this as Jackson Lake's there with his son Rosita in the streets of London with tons of people talking about it, and he explains to everyone the fact that the Doctor's never been thanked, and he gets them to thank him, and it's just when he says bravo sir, and it's really a lovely scene as you just see the Doctor in the balloon and looking down on everyone being applauded, and you see him just smile and just get to enjoy this moment, and it is really nice for him because he's gone through a lot of bad stuff, especially just before this story, and he finally gets to just enjoy himself a little bit, and it's good for him. And it's a really lovely note to kind of end on the story, on the real, it's the last note you see of the danger, and then of course you cut to Jackson Lake and the Doctor walking to the TARDIS, and it's really nice as he gets to see inside the TARDIS, and what he says is just kind of things you'd say. He just goes, "This is wonderful nonsense," and he calls it silly, and then he walks out because his brain can't handle it. And he's a good character, and you warm to him, and that's why the story does work. It really does, because if you don't like Jackson Lake at the end, the story's failed. But you do end up like Jackson Lake at the end, and David Morrissey is fantastic when he realises he's Jackson Lake. I'd argue David Morrissey's performance is just as good. He's phenomenal, and he's also phenomenal when he's playing the Doctor, and he'd be a very good Doctor, I think. But he probably won't be now, because he was the fake Doctor. That's what he's going to be known as. Don't know if Big Finish will ever pick up on that, but yeah, we'll wait and see. But yeah, then of course they confront each other. Well, no, the Doctor kind of is asked questions about his companions, and he goes, "Look, some of them leave me." And he says, "Some of them forget me," and it really hits hard because Donna just happened to him, and then you hear his voice kind of go back a bit and squeak a little bit as he just goes, "They break my heart," and you can hear he's close to tears, and it's really hard. It's heartbreaking. It really hits you there, hearing him say that. But just after that, Jackson Lake, who's already been offering Christmas dinner, finally goes, "No, it's a demand. You have to come to Christmas dinner with me," and it's lovely that Tennant says yes. It's the final little moment of the episode, and it's a great moment to finish on. As he says yes, and he goes, "Merry Christmas." They say Merry Christmas to each other, and they walk off through the snow and have Christmas dinner, which is a really nice Christmassy note to end on. It starts off a little bit Christmassy for a scene, and it finishes like that. And it's nice, and it is a good Christmas special, and I like it. But yeah, I think that's it. So, what would I give this out of 10? The thing is, it's helping me ranking the others, because it's making me kind of put them around them. because I don't know. Voyage of the Damned yesterday, or not yesterday for me. I actually filmed it like an hour ago, but that I don't know if that was. The thing is, I gave that a 7, I think, or I gave it a 6.5. I'm not too sure. No, I gave it a 6.5 as well, didn't I? I think this was better than Voyage of the Damned. I'm going to give this a 7. I'm giving this a 7. It's not quite the Christmas Invasion, but this is a decent episode. I do think it's slow in parts, as I actually didn't watch this all in one go. I kind of got distracted by like social media and everything, and just didn't, and stopped it and everything. Maybe the fact that I'm taking notes throughout this episode makes it a little bit more boring, makes all the episodes a little bit more boring, but, you know, I want to make sure I remember all the key parts of the plot. But, yeah, I think 7 out of 10 is fair. I like the performances in this episode. I think David Tennant's, on form. He's on form for the rest of his era. I think, Planet of the Dead, Waters of Mars, End of Time. I like all those episodes. And yeah, I know one of them may be a little bit controversial because I think Planet of the Dead's a little bit unpopular, but yeah, I do like that one. But anyway, we're not here to talk about those specials. We're here to talk about Christmas specials, and that is it for this Christmas special. And we're going to roll on to the next one tomorrow. As tomorrow, we will be doing... what will we be doing tomorrow? God, a sad one by the looks of things. So yeah, I may be covered in tears by the time we film it tomorrow, but hopefully I can get my thoughts across over the epic two-parter, which is the End of Time. But for now, that is this video. So yeah, comment below what you thought of this episode and what you think of my opinions on it. Do you disagree? Do you agree? What is your opinion on it? Please comment below. If you enjoyed the video, give it a like. If you like seeing this kind of content, please subscribe. I do a lot of reviews and other kind of content, which I'm going to try and get into after this is obviously over. I'm not, this is 13 reviews in 13 days and the ranking at the start. So after this, I'm probably going to try and not do a review for a while, which is funny because obviously we've got New Year's Day special. But after that, I'll try and, keep it a little bit more infrequent. But yeah, so yeah, subscribe. Also, ding the bell for notifications. So you know whenever I'm uploading, you'll be notified as well. I've got an Instagram, which is at @the_board_Whovian, which is also linked to this YouTube page. And yeah, so check that out as well. And yeah, that is it for me. I've been the Board Whovian, and I'll see you later. Merry Christmas.